Yo, in tonight's video, we'll be looking at creepy and scary TikToks that you should not watch before bed.
Let's talk about one of the most insane series ever released, Wrong Turn.
Yo,
These
this
movies started being
crazy.
released in 2003 and have gone all the way on until 2021.
I haven't seen 2 or 3, but the first one, wild. That's all I'm gonna say.
I would generalize these movies as like a cannibalistic slasher, more or less being based on 1970s savagery cinema, where the premise of the movie is actually pretty simple. It's usually a group of friends or a group of people who get lost in the woods. Their car breaks down, or they're just camping, or they're just hanging out. Everything's fine until one friend decides to go off and use the bathroom or just disappears out of nowhere. And most of the time they're getting caught up in some kind of trap. I unfortunately can't show you any of the traps because these movies are extremely gory, but trust me, they are very, very reminiscent to like Saw movies. But as the group continues and more or less forgets about their friend or has no idea where they are, they run into them. Them as in these cannibals. Usually a group of 5 or 6 family members who literally just go around hunting people for fun. And once they get you down with a shot of an arrow or in some kind of trap, they're more or less going to eat you. And they show it in these films. These movies get absolutely insane. As I said, they're very reminiscent to Saw with a cannibalistic twist. So if you enjoy movies that have to do with either cannibals or people being hunted, kind of like Hunger Games, but then being eaten, and not really having any other kind of backstory because you obviously can't get attached to any of the characters for more than 15 minutes, then I would definitely suggest you guys checking out any of the Wrong Turn movies. As I said, they came out in 2003 and all the way till 2021. I've seen all of them and they are actually insane and probably will make sure that you don't ever go camping or go in the middle of the woods anytime soon.
Facts.
All right, y'all. So
Not gonna lie, that's probably why I don't go camping now, or I don't want to go camping. I don't want to go nowhere in the woods. Man, I seen that movie. These mubs took the wrong turn, and it was over with. Oh my god, that movie was crazy, y'all. I'm having flashbacks right now just thinking about it.
if you were born in the early 2000s, then 9 times out of 10, you know what the elevator game is. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's a game where you hop into an elevator and click on a bunch of different floor levels, and then when you get to a certain floor, there's a lady that's supposed to hop on, you're not supposed to look at her. If you do, you die. It's a lot of crazy shit. Now, you're probably wondering, why the fuck is Evan Solo, the horror movie guy, talking about a fucking game people used to play like 10 years ago? Well, it's because on August 11th, we are getting a brand new horror movie about this game, and I'm not gonna lie, I just watched the trailer, and the trailer looked pretty good. The film is called The Elevator Game, and the movie follows a group of friends who try to attempt the elevator game and upload it to social media. But during the game, things go wrong, and I mean very fucking wrong.
Oh shit, here we go again.
A dreadful presence begins stalking each member of the group, and in order to get rid of it, they must finish the game properly. The film's set to release on August 11th, but it's not going to be getting a theatrical release. It's only going to be releasing on Shudder. So if you guys want to watch this shit in the comfort of your own home, you can do that. But me personally, I swear, Thor just don't want to see me win, bro. Fuck this video, bro. Hey, Thor, Otis it, bro. Bring
The movie.
Hey, it comes out in 2 days, y'all. 2 days. Y'all gonna watch it? You know what? I think I might watch it. I'm gonna watch it for sure. Y'all gonna watch it with me? Let me know.
Frozen actually hides dark secrets of Disney. It was rumored that after Walt Disney died, his body was cryogenically frozen and buried under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland. Disney had a lifelong obsession with cryogenics and hoped that someday, when the technology will be more advanced, his consciousness could be reawakened and he could see the future. It's rumored that a park employee posted a picture of Walt Disney's frozen body online, and Disney made the movie Frozen to make it all go away by altering Google's search algorithm so that people who search for the keywords Disney and Frozen will be redirected to the searches related to the movie and will never find Walt Disney's frozen body. And now you know that.
The creepiest things caught on camera. My twin cousin just died in the living room. Join the Discord. This is what happens when you don't lock up your basement door.
What is this?
If you see this, I'd recommend that you buy the atomic bomb. I believe my homeboy Oppenheimer still makes.
Of course, I could put the Saw movies in chronological order, starting with Saw 4. All of the questions are answered starting out with the whole entire movie. You have questions answered like, who's the killer, why are they killing, and pretty much their backstory on becoming a serial killer. And then of course it leads into the other movies, but it gives us that little itch, that little backstory of knowing why everything's going the way it's going and why these people are actually dying. The next part is Jigsaw. Well, at least half of it. There are 2 time frames in this movie. We're only going to be using one of them for now. This is also the first movie where we've seen Jigsaw, making it a great starting point. All of the other movies are also based 10 years after Jigsaw's death, so this is a spot we need. Up next is Saw. Released in 2004, this movie is absolutely insane, but we find something pretty odd that goes on in this movie. We find out that Jigsaw is actually one of the two men in the bathroom. And I just don't want to spoil any more of this. Up next is Saw 2, picking up exactly where Saw ended in the aftermath of everything. And this movie is known for some of the most insane death scenes. Premise of this movie, everyone has a number on the back of their head. They are all their own key to getting out of there. And let's just say, shit gets crazy.
Hey, it definitely gets crazy, y'all. Man, I watched Saw 1, I watched Saw 2. I might have watched Saw 3, I'm not sure. But after that, I was done. I'm like, you know what? I can't keep watching these Saw movies because every time I wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I think I'm finna get snatched up by somebody and end up with, you know, a key in the back of my head or something, or in my eye socket or in my stomach. And man, look, the movies are just crazy, y'all.
Up next is Saw 3. This is the movie where Jigsaw dies. You could technically watch this before watching the original Saw just for a little bit more backstory, but it's still okay. You can watch it how I'm telling you. Then you have Saw 5, which picks up right where Saw 3 ended. Jigsaw's dead, Amanda's dead. There are a ton of significant moments in this movie. Then you have Saw 6, picking up exactly where Saw 5 ended. I do enjoy the fact that these do go kind of in order when watching them, how I'm saying. You kind of get that pieces that you're missing as soon as the other movie starts. Then you have Saw the Final Chapter 3D, which picks up right where Saw ended, the first one. Then you have the other portion of Jigsaw. You know, when I said that we were only using one part before? Yeah, this is where the second part kicks in. Alleviates a ton of pressure and really lets us know what's actually going on. Then finally you have Spiral from the Book of Saw. But it is the end as of now, up until of course Saw X, which is going to be taking place in between 2 and 3. And as I said yesterday, Saw X should be taking place in between 2 and 3. Everyone's telling me 1 and 2. All I've seen online is 2 and 3. So, yeah. Comment down below what movie you want me to do.
3 ways
So
to
many
survive
Saw
Art
movies.
the Clown. Number 1. Unalive anybody and everyone who's been in contact with Art the Clown, such as the Mauled Woman. Seems as though Art the Clown is more or less an entity like Freddy, feeding off of fear, and the Mauled Woman being alive and being able to constantly regenerate heads as we've seen in the film. Unaliving her more or less eliminates anybody who's continuing to pass on the spirit and the fear of Art the Clown. Number 2. Make sure you have the sword that Sienna had at the end of Terrifier 2. As I just said, he more or less cannot die. He is an entity. He is brought back by power such as Freddy Krueger. So therefore, you're going to need the sword, and also in conjunction with the sword. And number 3, you're gonna need the book that Sienna's dad left behind. He more or less depicted everything that's already happened in the first Terrifier and the second Terrifier, including the death scenes. So in my opinion, he already knew and depicted everything that was going to happen in more or less the creation of Art the Clown. So you're going to need, in conjunction with the sword, you're going to need the book, because the book has to be able to tell you how to fully get rid of Art the Clown. And as I said before you even think that you're able to unalive Art the Clown and get rid of him forever, you're going to have to get rid of every other person that is constantly pushing his terror, such as the dismembered woman. And those
So then what's the scariest animatronic?
Well, the creator of FNAF already said it's Bonnie.
Bonnie's just a bunny.
Yeah, but the Bonnie that he describes is different. He had a dream about a mysterious animatronic that stood outside his bedroom. He said it had no eyes and ripped torn skin. He says he felt his heart racing as he stumbled out of bed to push his door closed. However, the sound of footsteps was growing louder in the hallway. As it grew louder, the door opened.
Oh no.
Is this a real story?
It actually is. They call it Shadow Bonnie. In FNAF 2, he appears when you're flipping through cameras, but it's rare. When you do see it, it looks like a dark figure with soulless eyes that stare at the player.
What happens when you look at it?
Well, your game will crash, forcing you to restart. But in Ultimate Custom Night, it's a little different. This time when you see him, the game will go dark, making it so you can't see anything, even with your flashlight. There is an animatronic that's even more disturbing.
What could be more disturbing?
They're called the Twist Ones, and they're designed to hunt. They not only have more teeth, but they look distorted. Their goal is to absorb and harvest souls.
Why haven't they added them to the game yet?
So it's possible. Fans are saying there's gonna be another DLC expansion. We know this because at the end credits, there's a secret dialogue. Roxy says Cassie's name.
Cassie.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means two things. Roxy and Cassie are really close friends. We know this because she was the only one that showed up to Cassie's birthday.
Your special day. I remember. Your special day.
But isn't Roxy trying to kill Gregory?
Well, remember, the animatronics are programmed for security. They're trying to stop Gregory from roaming around. We know that Roxy is good. She remembers Cassie before she gets deactivated.
I remember because you are number one. Twice.
Then later in the game, we even see Roxy save Cassie from the mimic.
Have you ever wondered why this...
I've never played FNAF, right? But I want to. I really want to. And I think I might do that because my son played the game and knows more about it than me. He's only 10 years old. So I definitely might play that game.
state of Oklahoma has that little section that looks like a panhandle? Well, if so, you're about to find out. Okay, so this strip of land used to be one of the most violent places in the United States, where all crime was completely legal. The Panhandle used to be a part of Texas until 1820 when the Missouri Compromise was signed.
Yo, is that why they call it panhandling? Wow. I never knew. Never knew. That's crazy.
Making slavery illegal north of the 36.5 parallel, forcing Texas to give up their land, but the Kansas-Nebraska Act established their land just north of the 37th parallel, leaving a 34-mile gap between Texas and Kansas. And for 40 years, this strip of land was known as No Man's Land, and didn't really attract the frontier's best people. Violence and crime completely ran No Man's Land, and the one town that thrived in No Man's Land was actually called Beer City. There was a constant rotation of different cowboys coming from all different plains, going to different saloons to get beer, since the United States was in this prohibition period. Beer City was eventually put to an end after it became too great, and the United States decided that this land needed to belong to somebody, and they picked Oklahoma.
This liminal space horror game actually has a sad backstory. Let's talk about the free horror game, Ocean View Mall. Full playthrough of the entire game right here. The story of Ocean View Mall centers around a busy businessman and his son. You see a clip of him showing up late to his son's birthday party again, but at least he brought an expensive gift. You explore a mall that will likely feel familiar to all of us, but at the same time, the more you explore, the more you realize that something is off. Then you head into the mall's toy store and you learn more of the story. The father is so busy with work that he has no time for his son, but in his mind, he has to make the most money for the family. And the game shows us this through his own personal version of the back rooms in the toy store. Even their neighborhood is recreated here. They have the biggest house in the neighborhood. They make more money than any other family. But is he happy? Is his son happy?
So we've all heard of the scary movie Veronica, right? Well, did you know that Veronica is actually based off of a true story, and it's much scarier than the movie. This is Estefania Lazaro. Sorry if I said that wrong. She and her friends decided it would be a good idea to play with a Ouija board at school one day. Her friends reported that when
You can't be messing with them Ouija boards, man. Like, for real. I don't know when people gonna learn. I just don't know. I don't know you gotta watch the movie Jumanji or what, but you cannot mess with no Ouija board.
they were playing with the Ouija board, smoke started to emanate from the board, and Estefania breathed it in. After they played with the Ouija board just this one time, Estefania started complaining about seeing and hearing things that weren't really there. She started to have random outbursts of violence and began to get physically ill. Doctors could find no reasoning for her sudden illnesses. It seemed as though Estefania was possessed. It continued to get worse and worse until one day Estefania had a sudden onset of catalepsy. She was rushed to the hospital where she passed away and an autopsy was conducted, but doctors found no reason why she would pass away. It said that Estefania died from demonic possession.
Here's part 2 of spoilers for The Devil's Doorway. Considering that all of the Virgin Mary statues are now bleeding out their eyeballs, they're able to collect a lot of samples. And all of the samples lead back to one person, a pregnant female with the blood type O negative. They inform the Mother Superior that everyone needs to be tested, nuns and patients alike. Privately, a nun takes Father Thomas aside and says, "I was the one who reported this miracle to the bishop." She tells him that there is evil in this place and tells him that there is this woman named Kathleen who's being held privately in the basement in terrible conditions. The priests demand to see her, and when they arrive at her room, it is absolutely horrifying. She's emaciated, covered in filth and scratches and scars, and chained to a wall. The Mother Superior tells them that she's pregnant, and they order for her to be released. But this bitch only makes it to the hallway before she starts attacking nuns. When they take her back to her room, she starts saying, "I didn't do it, somebody else did," and speaking in ancient Greek. Father Thomas asks to lead her in prayer, and the nuns say no, absolutely no way, but he does it anyway. And after he does, one of the nuns starts screaming and she's turned into Bendy Wendy and she's contorting into these terrible positions and her bones are cracking and breaking. But Father Thomas has had one too many Blood of Christ shots, so he says, I don't think she's possessed. That night, once again, Father John is woken by the sounds of children, but now there's really loud banging, and suddenly Father Thomas appears at his door. Surprise! All the statues of the Virgin Mary have been broken. Fortunately, one of the ghost kids also appears to Father Thomas though, so they follow it into the basement, into this one room, and they discover that there is this satanic temple set up. They go to Mother Superior to show her the room, and oddly enough, it's the middle of the night and she's fully dressed. So she follows them down the stairs, and the room is completely empty now. Suddenly, they hear Kathleen screaming, and when they find her, she is stabbing her belly. The next morning, they call a doctor, and he gives Kathleen an exam and determines that she is intact, or still a virgin. He also says that, she's been starved of food for a long time, she's very weak, she's very feeble, and she's probably not going to survive labor. And then he suggests a lobotomy to calm her down, because, a lobotomy a day keeps the devil away. We go back to visit her, and this time she starts levitating and human combusting, so obviously she is possessed. But once she calms down, the two fathers start discussing, and Father Thomas has this revelation that he thinks he was born there because of something she said to him in Greek. She then says that her and Father Thomas are being held in limbo and that the children and babies were killed by them and that they're now suffering for the sins of others. In part 3, Father Tom is going to confront Mother Superior.
The Devil's Doorway. Has anyone else heard of that movie before? I've never heard of it. I didn't even know what it was when she started explaining. I think I want to watch that now. That one seems a little bit... It's kind of creepy and kind of cool. What is this? Now, okay, who just goes outside and takes pictures with a flash? Just random pictures. Something gonna pop up, y'all. You hear that? No way.
This is Mandy, and she is a haunted doll that scared her owner into just donating her to a museum.
We mess
So
with them
Mandy here
dolls.
is an antique doll, as you can tell. She was made in the 1920s, and her first owner, that I can find on the internet, received her, I think, in 1991, but then she quickly got rid of her. So she was so afraid of her, she had an experience that made her just donate her to the Quesnel and District Museum here in Canada, and that is where Mandy resides today, and apparently she causes some trouble. But you may be asking what got her into that museum. One night, the owner was woken up by extremely loud cries of a baby that were coming from the basement where the doll had been left, and obviously there was no baby in this house. Apparently she had heard it for hours before she decided to go down and see what was happening. She's brave, because I would have been out of that house. Okay, so get this. She goes downstairs to figure out what is happening, and Mandy is missing. She's not there. Okay? But the thing is, the next morning, she's back. She was like, hell no. And so she took her and brought her to the museum. And I read that almost immediately after she had been placed in front of the door, the staff members started reporting that things were going missing, only to show up neatly tucked in random drawers later. Eventually, they moved Mandy to a more private part of the museum, away from the other dolls that she was with, because apparently she was toppling them over. Staff also said that she would harm the other dolls. So apparently when people go to see her, various batteries are drained completely in the presence of this doll. And one guest even claims that Mandy caused the light on her camera to go on and off every 5 seconds, and then once she left the room, it stopped. People say that Mandy's eyes follow them around the room, and I feel like that's pretty common with dolls and pictures, but who knows. But some people have claimed that she has blinked when they were looking at her. And also it's said that she sometimes moves around to other displays. I believe that you can still go visit Mandy at the museum that I mentioned earlier, which is pretty cool. I feel like we don't hear of a lot of them in Canada.
Nah, we good. We ain't going to see Mandy. Mandy can stay where she at.
Would you go visit Mandy?
Nope.
Anyways, thanks for being here. I am back with my Haunted Doll series. I have a few more to post. I just keep on finding them. They just keep on interesting me. If you know about any others, you let me know, and I will see you in my next video.
Adios,
Bye.
Mandy.
Could the government be concealing an entire civilization from us? There are claims about the Tartarians, an ancient civilization believed to have discovered the secret to unlimited energy. This breakthrough allowed the Tartarians to make remarkable advancements, as their citizens were able to express their creativity without the burden of work, resulting in numerous groundbreaking inventions and magnificent architectural feats. Unfortunately, a powerful global organization that monopolized energy production and profited from it saw the Tartarians' free energy as a threat to their control. They vigorously campaigned against Tartaria, fearing that free energy would undermine their authority. Consequently, this organization systematically dismantled Tartaria, wiping their existence from our historical records and presenting Tartaria as a non-existent civilization. However, if one carefully examines the evidence, remnants of Tartaria can still be found in ancient maps and architectural wonders across the globe. Structures like the Taj Mahal, the Great Wall of China, and the Egyptian pyramids exhibit an exceptional level of sophistication that challenges the conventional narrative of their respective nations' capabilities. These structures share common design themes, which seem to be centered.
What's y'all thoughts on Tartaria or Tartaria? Or either one, whatever you want to, however you pronounce it. What's y'all thoughts? Y'all think that the world was inhabited by ancient Tartarians and they had their own one world order back then? Or was there somebody before the Tartarians? You know what I mean? Like, who's to say that they were the first to do it? That's just the, like the latest that we know. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we go back, we're like, oh, we're finding all this stuff about Grand Tartaria, right? But who's to say that they didn't get their knowledge from a whole civilization prior to them as well? I'm not exactly sure. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.